Hello and welcome again to yet another webinar from Heartfulness. This wellness webinar will focus on financial well-being amidst trying and turning times. We have our panelists today, including myself, and of course Abhijeet Kamasamudram, who is the CFO of McCain US. It's a multinational firm which focuses on supply chain as well as foods in India. Abhijeet is a qualified chartered accountant, cost and management accountant. He has over 23 years of experience in various disciplines of finance in diverse industries and multiple geographies. He began his career with PwC in the corporate finance team. He loves wildlife and likes to spend time in nature. So welcome Abhijeet to this conversation that we will have around financial well-being.
Thank you, Tushar.
Let me start by asking you right away, being a CFO of a multinational operating in a difficult environment, can you share your day-to-day activities and how you're coping with the same? What are the challenges you're facing? The things that have worked well, which teams, which individuals? Just a little bit of an idea to get us started.
Yeah, thank you, Tushar, and I again welcome all of you to this Heartfulness webinar series, a wonderful initiative. So to answer the question that you put, Tushar, the day-to-day activities start with, from our current case, now that we are away from office, working from homes, in these turbulent times, what I start with is, we have a call with the trade bodies to discuss with the government on various initiatives and various steps and efforts that they are doing to help us with the supply chain, and what would it do to the essential goods, etc. FICCI, CII are various bodies on which I am the representative from the organization side. So we engage with them, give our recommendation of various activities that they would like to do, which will help us start supplying to the consumer. That's on the day-to-day activities, which begins with, and since we are away from office and sitting at home, I have been also helping my family, because we are not getting the help on other household activities. That's a complete departure from the regular activities that we do. I am also considering the current situation, running a series of sessions on heartfulness meditation for not only my employees, while the sessions are meant for the employees, but I made it open for anybody, because anyone can benefit out of these sessions. So we said, if people want their family members also to join, because this is run through Microsoft Teams. So I've seen lots of participation and encouragement and interest from people's side. That's one of the activities that I'm doing regularly from the time lockdown has begun. So it's a great encouragement, and also improves my practice and my ability to communicate the system, and gives a lot of confidence and faith in people's mind to manage the crisis. That's the from a day-to-day activity point of view, Tushar. Another question, you said, what are the challenges we are facing at these times, and what has worked well, and which teams? Obviously, challenges from an organization point of view, it is tremendous challenge on demand, supply chain, and also lots of uncertainty in the minds of people, because I'm not able to produce my goods because of various restrictions, and the fear that is there across the administration and various set of people that we deal with is very, very palpably faced. We see it in everybody's discussions. So one challenge that we would like to circumvent is, how would we have our supply chain and demand production activity rolling in? So if that challenge is gone, I think we should be able to do well. What has worked well are, of course, we are a major supplier to a lot of restaurants and other places. Unfortunately, the restaurants are all shut, so there is no question of we going and making any supplies. Fortunately, we have started a delivery fry. So the fry which has an ability to hold for a longer duration. So these delivery chains have started taking up that product. See, Interestingly, these times are the ones which help make organizations and people start looking at innovative things. Nobody would have ever thought of a delivery fry because it's a frozen product and very difficult for it to hold on because it becomes very sloppy, maybe after 4 or 5 minutes of hold time. Here we have a product which can hold on for 30 minutes. So the delivery channels are all lapping up to this product. We see the Zomatos, the big baskets, the grofers, etc., actively trying to propagate and move. That has worked well. The supply chain teams are very actively working in individuals. You asked me, uh, at these times, in my view, those are the individuals who are, calm, who are fearless, who have lots of enthusiasm, who are very optimistic, and who have a progressive view of how life goes on. Turbulences, crisis, crests and troughs are very, very part of life. It is nothing new and we're facing. If an individual has fever, there is a crisis in his life because it is not normal for him. But that doesn't mean he stands or he stops still. He still continues getting over the fever. Similar way, this is an enlarged fever, maybe spreading over larger mass of segments and people. So how would you get? Those are the individuals who are bold enough, and how would they, achieve calmness? My view is start learning new things, start unlearning, start relearning. So when I say start learning new things, for example, if you're not into meditation, probably why don't you go and do meditation? Learn it. It's an element which gives you tremendous amount of calmness, and it's a sustainable product. It not only works for this crisis, probably it can help you transform yourself. So those are some of the things which individuals, whoever have these elements, will be able to succeed and fathom this crisis in the coming period. And you also asked another question, which teams, Tushar? Teams are generally a composition of such individuals, is my belief. If you have a team which has elements of all these individuals who have these faiths and beliefs, that team is the strongest. And what I am seeing is, in my entity, I am seeing the supply chain team, the sales team, because they run through so many emotions, emotions of stress because their incentives are at stake. We do not know whether they will be able to meet their targets, whether they will be financially able to get their numbers, and they'll still have to cope up with distributors, they still have to cope up with the supply chain, they have to cope up with the government. On the top of it, they have to cope up with the organization also. Let's say, since I'm a finance guy, they will have to cope up with a finance guy like me because I am the one who holds the cash. Maybe I will not release the cash which they want, or maybe I will not permit some invoicing which they're looking for. So various element, and individuals who can manage all these and display tremendous amount of resilience are the ones who will come up successful and are able to cope better this situation. That's my view, all in all, Tushar.
Thanks. Really very interesting to hear, because someone who is right in the midst of all of this clearly gives a great perspective, and I can understand the challenges you are undergoing. But just one last question, rounding up my initial questions, was to see whether, are there these physical distances causing stress amongst, the teams that we talk about? Because largely, of course, some of you, your teams are on the ground and they have to actually visit these places. But the rest of the office, now we are all separated. So how is it that we are, you guys are trying to build this sense of bonding or togetherness? What are you guys doing?
Very, very apt and nice question, Tushar. Thank you for asking that. So yes, physical distances, are a little troublesome because we've been seeing faces every day, and we've been seeing sitting very, very close in the offices. There are enough number of interactions that happen, but what we say is, it's only a physical distance. So you're all very close in our hearts always. So what I do is, for my teams, there is something called hi all and how all. It's just a conversation. We generally go there, chat with people. All, it is not an official kind of a discussion. What the numbers are, what are you doing, etc. General sense, which is one way of encouraging belongingness. The team then start believing that, hey, somebody really cares for us. Somebody is open to hear my let's say call frustration or a feeling rather. Somebody is open. people will start sharing their moments of happiness, their joy, their celebration with the family. It could be as simple as, a North Indian girl making an idli and sharing with a South Indian person saying, see, hey, I've also attempted your South Indian delicacy. It could be, unique things. And then a South Indian trying to make a paratha and say, see, you counted me with this, see, let me make a, product of yours. There's an element of familyhood that comes in. It's each one trying to share their moments. Tons and tons of WhatsApp groups with the HR team trying to say, hey, come, let's all be engaged. So one critical thing that we have to do at these times is engagement, Tushar. How engaged are you? So one engagement form could be, regularly conversing with the team. And the way I am engaging with a larger set of people is what I told you, conducting these meditation sessions, maybe a repetition, but that engagement I see, a smallest level sales guy, okay, who would have never interacted with the CFO ever, is now coming on these sessions, and he is bold enough and he is confident enough to express his happiness. Let's say the session is very, very, comforting to him. He's open. He's also asking questions. So that set of fear or that hierarchy or whatever, I think slowly getting disbanded with this element of physical distancing coming in, and then closeness happening through all these technological upgradation called Zooms or Microsoft Teams. So that's the way we are tackling these physical distancing, Tushar.
Great to hear. Great to hear. Thanks for sharing.
So I think, let me ask one question to you also, then we can make it, it may become a monologue if I just keep on speaking. You come from a very different industry. By the way, Tushar Pradhan is a, very known people for people who always watch the financial world, is a very known face. He deals with the financial markets. He's the CIO of a very large organization called HSBC, which everybody is familiar with great background in education coming from United States, but his interest to come back to India, that made him look at India, and then he joined HDFC, and then looks at, basically he brings in tremendous amount of expertise in these equity area, portfolio management, multi-asset management, etc. Large set of assets under management are under his governance. So Tushar, so in these times, it's, as a CIO of a very leading multinational, mutual fund, tell me, in these testing times, what is your guidance for financial well-being? Any learnings from mistakes people would have generally made, in such things? Do you have any tips or guidance for financial well-being?
No, it's a very good question, and I think it brings us to the title of our conversation today. Is that many times people, generally look at their finances in passing. Generally, they, maybe not spend enough time in, the seriousness of what is ahead of them, because obviously we are all involved in our day-to-day activities, and it's not something which comes as urgent. But only in times like these, and that's why sometimes, in a very perverse way, it's a good way to focus on what we should always be doing. So it is not only during these times that we have to look at our financial plan, but at all times. And if you have not begun, then maybe this gives you a trigger to actually start doing. My personal experience has been is that for everyone, wherever and whichever profession anybody is in, they clearly need to have a plan. Now, this is something that traditionally in India we've not really done well. Simply for a couple of reasons. One is that we've not been as a market, as a saving society, being exposed to variable return products. If you remember our father's generation, I think the extent of financial assets that anybody held was going to the bank and opening a fixed deposit. But probably at some time, a unit trust of India, that was all that most people had, or a post office saving, which is very fixed in nature. And there was really no concern on the capital element, because either it was from a bank or it was a government sponsored deposit. So generally people just have this concept of return in their mind as a percentage return of the capital that they managed to save. But they have no idea on the inflation side of how inflation really erodes into whatever percentage return you get. So simply At a time in India where inflation used to be double digit, even if I get a 10% fixed deposit, the post-inflation return for me might have actually even been negative, which means my purchasing power actually reduces over a time that I have placed a deposit of 10% in the bank. Today, no bank will give you 6% or even more. But the inflation is now at around 3.5 to 4%. So your real return adjusted for inflation actually now is a little more positive, even if it is 6%, as opposed to 10% 20 years ago. So I think these concepts are something which we as Indians and how we've grown up are actually quite not very conversant, and I think that is the reason why we need to have these financial plans. I would suggest that everyone should make a plan for themselves, no matter what the situation is. Of course, this situation we can discuss later, but on a standard blue sky situation, I think one should focus on the fact that what is my income, what are my costs, and what am I generally able to save every month. I think this preliminary review everyone has to do. Now, of what one is able to save, there are certain needs called as liquidity needs. For example, now suddenly we are in a lockdown and I need liquidity. It is not necessary that I have fixed deposit, but they are illiquid. I cannot go to the bank today. I cannot do anything about my deposit, but I need cash at home. I need something, to get by in terms of what I need for my daily needs. So it's something, and this is not only on the lockdown, but suppose you have a financial emergency, you have a medical emergency. So there should be a sum always which is available, accessible in cash. So that is what I call as liquidity needs. Everyone has to have. So that is not something which you can invest. That is not something that you need to plan for. That is something you need. Then on top of that, you need intermediate liquidity, which means it's not overnight, but I might need a liquidity for over a month or something comes up and I need the money over that time. So then these investments, which I will now do, will have a maturity, which means that they will keep maturing over a period of time. So it could be a 3-month deposit, it could be a 1-year deposit. And then from then on, I have some other needs. So my plan now starts to incorporate what do I want to do. So rather than planning from where I am and what I have, the planning should start from what my financial goals are. And in that case, every individual has a different financial goal than every other individual. Though largely we can say there are 4 major goals that everybody has. One is to secure a home for oneself. So eventually someone and everyone saves to buy a home. They can save to buy a car or a means of travel. They can save to have a good lifestyle, which is say for travel, which may be periodic in nature. And then the ultimate, which is to save for your retirement, which will not come right away, but it will come after a very, very long time. So I think the essentials very, very quickly is that we identify what are the goals we have in our financial life. What is the long-term goal? What is the short-term goal? What is the medium-term goal? And then start to explore the investment avenues and the vehicles that will help me get there. So clearly for a short-term goal, which is to have money in 1 year's time, if I put money in equity-oriented investment or mutual fund or stocks, clearly that is going to be disastrous. But if I'm saving for the very long term, like my retirement, which may come in 15 years, 20 years, 30 years time from now, depending on my age, I will then have to look at an investment which is in line with that goal. And also, if you remember, the shorter term investments are not compounding in nature, which means they are of simple interest and they do not account for inflation. But if you look at the longer term, you need compounding because it is not necessary just to get your principal back. The principal has to also grow. So they should have, all of these investments should have a concept of growth in the capital element itself. And that's what makes financial planning a little more complicated. So I would think that most people think that financial planning is easy. I can do it on my own. I would request everyone to revisit that and to say no. Depending on your circumstance in life, depending on your goal, financial planning can be quite complicated. So it is not very complex. You need to sit down, think about it, maybe even go to a financial planner, which are these people who can either help you in a bank or, for example, a broker or someone who is a financial advisor who actually can make a plan for you. I think this is time and money well invested. Eventually, it is your life you're talking about. And I think as our life and our world gets more complex, I think we should need to get involved in at least understanding these concepts. Because otherwise, if we rely on the past, we will be doomed to save as responsible individuals for our financial future. So I would think a simple question, but I was just trying to make it sound as complex as it needs to be, because today don't spend so much time, thinking about what they want to do with their savings. They would rather just have a much more nearer term goal, and they think, oh, I have enough. But once you reach, time closer to your retirement, then all of these things really come back to roost. So I don't know if I answered your question.
No, no, you certainly answered. What I take away, from the message that you've given is plan and then have a goal. That just takes me back to what my meditation guides used to always say is fix your goal. So they were always telling, fix your goal from the point of enlightenment or spiritual evolution, etc. So what I take away from this is, be it financial, be it spiritual, wherever, have a goal and plan for it. Reach out to somebody who can guide you on achieving your goal or an objective. So that's a very interesting insight you've given, Tushar. Thank you very much. So this is what you've given is generally applicable in a nice world, or probably in the current world also.
Yes.
So somebody put a question to me, saying, while Abhijeet, you are a CFO, can you answer this? I thought I will turn it around to a CIO, because it is much more relevant to a CIO than a CFO. Is, let's say, there is a situation, a company has got a car policy, and people would like to upgrade, which is natural for anyone, and then they have already signed up, and now comes this crisis. There is one side an aspiration that they want to upgrade the car. Now there is uncertainty, there is gloom, there is no one can guess what is likely to happen in the next second. In such a situation, how do you think they should react? One side is tax benefits, the other side is lure for an upgradation, the other side is uncertainty. What is your view, how to balance frugality, wait and watch? So it's a very generic one which came to me. I thought I will turn it around and ask you, maybe somebody in the audience has got such similar one running in their mind also. Don't know.
Not only this, but I think it can relate to some of the other purchases anybody can have, which has a longer term payment commitment. So whether it's a house, or whether it is, a very large consumer discretionary item you bought at home, which you have opened up, for a longer term commitment for payment. I think that's a good, valid question. And that is why I come back to my financial plan. So for example, when I have such exigencies or emergencies where I believe that there may be, circumstances which I feel may not be enough for me to kind of service this loan, what do I do? Well, first of all, coming back to your first question about the car, now the decision is already made. You cannot do anything about it. So you cannot reverse the situation. You are faced with it. Now, if you are contemplating whether to go in for or not, then clearly one has to wait, because clearly, this is just the logical thing to do. But if you already have committed, you already have got the car and the payments are starting from next month, what are you likely to do? You can't return the car. So clearly that is a liability for you for the rest. Now, which means that your stress levels clearly will go up, because now it depends on the kind of income stream which you had planned for yourself, which will now pay for this car in the future. Now, as long as you have a good, nice employment, you need not be worried, because this is not the time to worry about that. But suppose you are a businessman, and turning back to you, if he happens to be one of your supply chain contributors and he doesn't have any visibility, and he's bought a car on himself, what is he likely to do? So I think in that case, the easiest solution would be just to renegotiate. And I think one of the good things that the RBI has done is that they allowed for a moratorium. So that is something that a lot of people need to understand. That if they are unable to, because of their business doesn't allow them the cash flows to service any of these essentials, if they're unable to pay either their credit card, either any of their loans, they will have a moratorium for up to 3 months going into June. So which means they need not worry. And if they feel that they have a profession and an employment which is longer term in nature, then this situation will not really change any decision that they need to make if they've already made the decision to lease the car. So I think that is something that I can contribute. In any other case also, I can say that if you have longer term commitments of payments to be done for a house maybe, and in a situation like that, what happens? Really something that you have to now understand why the financial plan became important. You can explore ways of saying that if the house then becomes too onerous, then your plan was not that good. which means that you had committed a significant amount of your income for paying for the EMI. And now you're in a quandary because if you're unable to generate that kind of income, then your housing EMI will become unserviceable for whatever reason. So which means that the house that you buy should also not be demarcated by what you think you should have or what you think you can afford. And you should also now think of the EMI for every month, that if a significant portion of this then has to be paid toward making this payment, then am I buying the right house? And many times people make very emotional decisions saying that I need a big house, I need a house in this area. But they completely ignore the financial plan, whether their finances are able to support this. And many times this is where the biggest problem is. So I'll come back to saying that if you have a plan, if you have goals, and if you have lived within your means, then this situation will not alter any of your plans, and it should be well on your way.
Thank you.
But so much for this, and thanks again for asking me this question. Now, let me ask you a question back in terms of your experience at the senior level, and from a behavior point of view, when we go back to a normal world, say. Do you think companies such as yours, or in position that you are in, that we need to relook at some of our corporate environment, some of our trainings maybe? Are we preparing our people to really be open to such sort of environments so that they are resilient, from within? And something that we all as companies can think of to say, what does this episode in history teach us? That should we change our behaviors in some way?
So thank you, Tushar. What let's say from my enterprise point of view, if I were to speak, generally competencies are the ones which is competencies drive behavior. So what competencies do you need to have in any set of situation? There are, I think, about Conferry gives the list of competencies. There are about some 91 competencies generally there. What competency, if used properly, what is the outcome it gives? What competency, if it is misused, in the sense it is overused, will result in what? So coming to the point, what kind of behavior that would one in? Let's say being resilient. That is the biggest competency and behavior. So resilience, whoever displays. So if you have to be resilient, you have to be calm. If you have to be calm, you should not have the element of fear, frustration, suffocation sitting in you. Yes, there is an uncertainty looming around. Uncertainty is as applicable to me as applicable to anybody else. A individual loses his employment, maybe loses X amount of money that he's giving. A senior person loses his employment, it is as much difficult for the individual to get back into an employment, considering their ages, considering their compensations, considering their expertise, etc. So the uncertainty stays for everybody. What kind of a behavior? How will you remain calm? How would you display empathy? Okay, and sensitivity towards others. So all these elements of calmness, sensitivity towards empathy, there may be people who definitely will not be able to express their problem. How can you understand what their feelings are? Is there anything that you can do to support them to the maximum possible extent? If I were to say, one behavior, let's say an enterprise like mine, in today's world, cash conservation is the prime thing that we are talking about. Whoever has cash, whoever is liquid, even to the point you said, I may own a biggest of houses or the fattest of bank deposits, they're not liquid. So one who has got liquidity is the king today. So, and who's got this cash conservation? In such a situation, as an enterprise, we've been honoring all our commitments. So we've been saying yes. Now next question comes in. What will happen till when can I go on honoring like this? Is there a timeline? I think as the uncertainty goes off, that behavior of the enterprise to be honest, and to really take care of the society. They say, be good, do good. So that kind of a behavior, which is more of compassion, empathy, etc., are the ones which will survive even when normalcy comes in. So that individual is the one individual who becomes very strong. Humility is the one quality that should not be let go, because times are stressful. So it is always normal and natural for anybody in these trying and testing times to behave something departing from their normal sense. So get back to normal as much as possible, and only those enterprises which are integrating, which means which take their people together, which show the sense of belongingness, and which are responsible to the society and to their teams and people, are the ones which will survive. And those are the people who display such behaviors will remain in the enterprises and will also grow as the enterprise grows. I hope I've responded to your question, Tushar.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these are the changes that I see even as we speak coming through. The kind of requests I've got from companies to conduct these meditation sessions for their people now are multiplying, which just shows that this change that you're talking about, being empathetic, really being aware of the needs of our people who work with us, which we generally tend to ignore in normal times because we are so worried and worked up in what we have to achieve. But in such situations, I think these things are very important. And I must say that it is getting echoed by a lot of companies which are now turning to methods such as heartfulness to generate this level of sensitivity among people, to be empathetic towards needs of different kinds of people, and to really achieve a sort of solution for people rather than trying to target a profitability measure. Because we all know that if all become profitable, then we all thrive. But one should not be at the cost of someone else. And that is what I believe empathy is all about, that we incorporate that in our business culture, that we are all in it together and we all have to work together and make money together to really be sustaining in the long run. So thanks for sharing.
I agree, Tushar. In today's world, since you bought in heartfulness, and then I had a very funny incident, or not to be funny, an incident that happened. One of the employees, who is not connected to me, his father is suffering from cancer, and apparently he was told that meditation really helps in healing of cancer. So while I was conducting these sessions, that individual came in and then joined the session, uh, must have benefited significantly out of it. But what he told me was, he asked me a question, sir, can I get my father? He said, yes. So obviously the sessions were conducted in English, and then they all speak Gujarati. So we said, uh, where belongingness comes in. So I took the extra step of sending whatever material that I have in Gujarati to them, so that it facilitates his father in practicing, let's say, heartfulness, or a method which definitely echoes the faith that meditation really helps them in their healing and in such turbulent times. So those are also one of the behaviors which will run for long, Tushar. When things come into normalcy, how can you step up for others and take a stretch? So we generally, when we meet CIOs, obviously it's all personal interests, investments, markets. It's a very, very interesting and hot subject. The channels also every day run. It's as much, the Sensex fluctuates as much as the COVID numbers. There's a very direct correlation to that. Why it goes up, why it comes down. So from your vast experience, and many such turbulences you must have seen in your long, sensational career. Do you have any suggestions, to do, as what are the critical imperative things for financial stability, which you already said, but in such times of turbulence, how would one react? The general tendency is, not do this, not do this. How do I, within my existing means, plan out a situation or meet a situation in which I am financially stable and do well?
Yeah, I think I can give a lot of platitudes about what one should do in times like these. But I think one has to take a little bit of a step back to say that, and I will re-emphasize this point, that most people, and I can't count myself in that, because if I were not to be in this industry, I would be clearly someone like that, have very little financial literacy really. All of us are learned to be We learn to be economists, we learn to be engineers, we become great doctors, but nobody really tells us anything about money and how to manage money and what are the various avenues that we have for investments. It is never formally taught, and this is really the problem that we have today. So I would say that instead of giving a very generic, because it's not going to be a generic advice, all I can say is that investing, which is for the long run now I'm talking about, not the shorter term investment, which is easy to understand. It is the rate of return and the risk is, just the term of how long you want to keep it. But when I'm talking about stock markets, I'm talking about products which are reliant on stock markets. I think what one has to understand is we are not investing in the stock market, first of all. We are investing in companies. So for example, if I were to be a shareholder of McCain and I buy the stock price of McCain, now I have to be really involved in this business as much as you are. I should be an owner of this business. So many times, the classic example I can give is a very large industrial owner of this company. When the stock prices crash, he gets very bemused by all of this and say, well, how can you recommend a sell on my company just because it has collapsed? I own the company. Just this impression of being an investor, a speculator, and an owner just changes your entire perspective. So if I own the largest company in India today and the stock price falls 40%, will I be worried? Yes, I'll be worried to a certain extent, but not as much worried as somebody who thinks, oh, my loss is 40%. It's not 40%. It is what the market, because of the concern that is in the economy, or for that matter, what it is showing a certain response to what they feel the near term is likely to be for the company. And then it prices the value, which is not a true value. Because if you say this value is true, then tomorrow if the price goes up, is that a true value? So you have to understand that these prices and value, these are two different things, price and value. And what we see are prices. So we have to understand what is the value of the company. There are various metrics, and I don't want to make it into a technical session, but there are various metrics where you come to understand what is an intrinsic value for a company. It is made up of the assets, it's made up of the brand, it is made up of the people who run it. All together make the value of the company. But the price is independent of that, which is a very interesting thing, which is either a good or a bad thing. Now, for example, if I'm interested in buying something cheap, I know the value is something, but suddenly it is now at a discount. Now, should I get excited about it or should I get worried about it? It depends on whether you own it or whether you don't own it. So I think these are the kind of, behavioral things which go into investments. It has really nothing to do with the investment itself. It has everything to do with our minds and how we react to situations. So again, I will come back to heartfulness to say that if you really are a person who can calm his mind in the worst of times, you can become a fantastic investor. Not to say that you may not have losses, but your ability to understand the risk, to stay very steady and to be very steadfast in times which are very, very trying is the key for successful investing. Because if you're not that, you are reactive, which means the reactive mind will only react to bad news and good news. So when the stock market is going up, I become greedy and I say, oh, I want a piece of the action, let me buy. But you have no concept of what you're buying. On the other hand, when it is falling, you become very fearful. So I don't want anything to do with this because it's falling 20% every day. Let me get out of here. Because you don't even know what you're getting out of, because it is a company like McCain, say, for example, or for that matter, HSBC, which is a globally listed company. Now, when you're selling this company, you are becoming less of an owner in this company and becoming more of a speculator, thinking that I will now be fearful. I will come out of this variable nature of the product and put it away in the bank. You have already lost because you already have come off of this. So my whole point, again, I'm trying to make is that your understanding of what you are buying reduces the risk. Risk is not something which you know. Whatever is unknown is risk. So for example, if I own the enterprise, I gave the example of this industrialist who owns this business. He owns about 60% of the company. Now, if his stock price goes down 50% over this crisis period, is he going to sell everything? He's not, because he owns the business. He knows what the potential is. He is not going to sell it, even whatever the price is fallen down to, because he owns and runs the business. But we as investors don't have the same attitude. We don't know what we are buying. We feel that, if the price is going down, then I have to get out. and let me just get whatever I have because that is the price today. Let me come out of it. So I think it's more to do with understanding initially. But I think as you become more involved in the investing business, I think what is even more required not only is understanding, because even if you understand that, you will be prey to your emotions. Even if you understand everything that you've done, fear as a factor, once it enters your mind, it will not let you do what is the rational thing. So I think again, coming back to meditation in a very, very simple way, that if you're able to calm your mind, you can really see through all of this confusion that is happening at any time. You can maybe take a right decision because your mind can be steady. If your mind is not steady, um, money can be lost very quickly.
I think, and one more point also on meditation, Tushar, I would like to add maybe use of heart, because that's where your feelings, when you're talking on fear, when you're talking on emotions, and when you're talking on anxiety, risk. I think that stability, the moment I start using my heart, which is, heartfulness meditation is based on, that gives one a tremendous sense of composure and then clarity in what they do. They will also have the courage to face these situations, and then amount of composure that it brings in is really commendable. I can personally watch for it because I've been conducting these sessions and doing it. So it's given that amount of support to various people in these uh, current situations. We've termed our conference as 2C for 4C. Corona crisis for 4C. For 4C is for courage, compassion, clarity, and then composure. So thank you. Thank you for clarifying all these issues that commonly people will have generally running in their minds, and trying to drive a sense of financial planning's essence and its importance, literacy, financial literacy, how it will help you in being financially sound irrespective of times. It is not how successful you are in times of goodness, how successful you are in times of turbulence is the test of an individual. So if you have an effective plan, what you said, if you have a well-rounded budget, a zero-based budget, and then don't bite more than what you can chew, because that's what I got to know. When you don't have stretched EMIs, don't have too much than what you can, because it's a very uncertain world, it's a very complex world. Things are changing as fast as speed of light also maybe probably at a time can become slower. Every day there's a new thing. In such a circumstance, if you live a simple life, if you live in tune with nature, begin whatever your nature says, and I think that is a testimony for being financially well in these trying and testing times. I think that's the summary I would take from what we conversed, Tushar. Any other questions you have for me, or?
No, I think we just have about enough time to kind of, think about or even experience this kind of meditation that we talk about. So you've been conducting some sessions, I believe. So if you can take us through some of this experience today, I think it will greatly benefit our viewers to at least have a taste of what we are talking about. If you want to start.
Yes, fair enough. Yeah, we can start. So I just give you, for all the viewers, who are new to this heartfulness kind of a thing, it's a heart-based meditation. It's an experience one you'll have to experience first and practice it later, because once you know the experience, you will be able to understand its efficacy and all far better. So we can run a session. The first thing that we can do is we'll run through a session, because we prepare you to meditate something called relaxation. And it's just a audio guideline which can give you various elements of body movement, so that every part of the body is relaxed before you get into a state of meditation. Then we will conduct a short meditation for 5 to 10 minutes, and then that should be the end of the session. Is that the way it should work, Tushar?
Yeah, you can start the instructions.
So I'll start the relaxation thing. We have an audio for relaxation anywhere, or?
No, you can give the commands.
I can give the commands. So,
Or if you want me to do, I can do it. No problem.
yes, I would, because I've been using an audio.
Okay, no problem.
So,
Okay, so let's begin. All what is required for us to do is to just be having an open mind and, more importantly, a comfortable pose to sit in. If you're sitting in a chair viewing this, that should be enough. Have something to support your back with. And let's begin. Gently close your eyes and let us now begin from our toes. Feel as if there is energy coming from the earth up your legs, relaxing your toes and feet. Feel the energy spread and move up your legs, relaxing your ankles. The energy moves up to your lower limbs and calves. You can feel the energy relaxing your knees. The energy moves up to your upper legs, relaxing your thigh muscles. Relax your hips. Feel as if you're sinking into your seat. Take a moment to observe that both your feet now are completely relaxed. Feel the energy slowly move up your abdomen, relaxing your abdominal muscles. Feel your muscles relax slowly as you breathe in normally and breathe out. Relax your stomach and waist. Relax your back. From the neck down to your tailbone, feel how this energy has completely relaxed your back. Relax your chest and shoulders. Drop your shoulders. Feel as if your shoulders are simply melting away. Feel the energy move to your upper arms and elbows, relaxing them. Relax each muscle of your forearm down to your wrist, palm, and out of your fingertips. Feel both of your arms completely relaxed. Take a moment to observe from your neck down, your entire body now is completely relaxed. If there are any parts of your body which are tense, consciously try to relax them. Relax your neck muscles. Feel all the tension leave from your neck. Now let's move your attention to the face. Relax your jaw, lips, nose, eyelids, eyebrows, forehead, all the way to the top of your head. Relax your cheeks, facial muscles, earlobes, all the way to the back of your head. Feel the energy now. Relax every cell in your brain. Relax your mind. Observe from top to toe how your entire body is now relaxed. Slowly move your attention now to the heart. Experience the silence, love, and light in your heart. Be still and remain absorbed with a thought that divinity exists in my heart and that I'm slowly getting drawn deeper and deeper inside my heart. Be still and stay there till you find an instruction to open your eyes. As you can see, we can continue on for a long time. Just to give you a taste of what this can do. We can gently open our eyes and see for ourselves how we are feeling. How a simple set of instructions in the heartfulness relaxation way can take you to some very deep states within us. And more importantly, we can see how this calmness that we experience can be useful for us in our daily activities, especially in such times. Thank you for your participations. What I'd like to again offer that if you want to know more about the Heartfulness Wellness initiatives, or if you have personal queries on well-being, please write to us at wellness@heartfulness.org. You can also locate a nearby meditation center if you visit this website or www.heartspots.heartfulness.org. We have over 6,000 heart spots. And by heart spots, I mean the availability of a trainer who will be able to teach heartfulness meditation just the way we did it. And this is available in over 130 countries. And the organization is heartfulness.org. These trainers work on a voluntary basis, and they offer this for absolutely no charge anywhere in the world. There are some other resources that you can keep heartfulness with you forever. There is the Hearts app, which allows you to meditate with a trainer anywhere in the world. You don't even need to contact a trainer. You can go onto the Hearts app, and there will be a trainer on the other side who at your convenience can give you a meditation experience. You can download in an iOS or an Android format today in any of the app stores on each of the machines. There's Heartfulness on YouTube. Now there are some free online meditation classes, a guided practice session. Daji, the global wellness guide to the organization, has recorded some videos and some words of wisdom around heartfulness meditation. All of that is accessible on YouTube. If you want to formally join the method of meditation, the way to introduce yourself is to undergo 3 masterclasses. These sessions are offered free on the website URL www.heartfulness.org/en/masterclass. All you have to do is to just click it, and it allows you for a 3-day introduction to the heartfulness method of meditation. Apart from that, there are so many other initiatives that you can see here on the slide. Please feel free to explore at your leisure. These are things which are topical and will keep updating themselves from time to time. Thank you again all for your participation. Thanks, Abhijeet. It's been a wonderful session. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Tushar. Thank you for the wonderful meditation that you conducted. I hope all the listeners and viewers will benefit out of the meditation sessions and the literature available, and you'll also experience the masterclass given by Daji. Thank you very much.